our peers, like when we're in school, when we're at work, how much does opinions really matter? Um, and nowadays, it seems like the opinion of a self within a company is not as important. Just fall in line, do your job, don't ask. We'll accept for we'll accept things for as they are. Get paid. And it's interesting how there are companies out there that have taken in their HR for I want to bring this up, that there are companies who will no longer allow you to negotiate your pay, but expect you to stay and have loyalty. They'll inflate your mind according to inspirational and team building quotes that making the team work will make the dream work, so to speak. But how far does that really go? And when you look at your opinion, when you care about others' opinions, how does it infiltrate you emotionally? How does it move you logically? How does it move you, all other ways? And when I think about, a lot about what's taken place and what matters, the question is, what if you stopped caring what others think, right? Even my own partner. Um, when you think about your partners, when you think about your friends, when you don't care as much especially about your own vision, your career, your dreams, when you stop caring what other people think, how does it matter? How are you affected? That's what I'd really want to say to people. How is it affected by when you stop listening or you hear their opinion, but it's not going to change your mind or decision? That's a careful question. And then sometimes people make an opinion. Hey, if you go up that hill, it's really dangerous up there. You might get hurt, and then you get hurt. And it's like people told you. Well, was it an opinion or a fact? That's interesting. But Ryan goes on to he explained in his book, The Daily Stoic, this is how quickly can we disregard our own feelings over something and adopt someone else's, right? We think shirts look good on at the store, but we view it with shame and scorn because of another person or somebody's ideas, then what does that say? Oh, that dress or that shirt, those pants, it looks horrible. But you felt it did. It may look horrible, right? But how it plays out, that's really not up to you. It's like I've worn things that are maybe sometimes too tight, sometimes too big. And I've had people make post comments, "Oh, what were you thinking when you wore that?" Right? What were you thinking when you wore that? And what I say is like, "Thanks for your consideration." And then we come up with those defensive clauses and things to say like, "Well, you're not paying my bills. You don't really matter." And then you piss people off and it's like, "Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's not what I was intending to do." Or what about you have a vision um about something and you really have a really strong connection with your vision. You want to make this work. You want to make the dream work. You want to make life work for you. And the people that love you most don't understand that dream, don't see any money in it, don't see any future in it, but you do. How many people have become successful regardless of other people's opinions? And or they were seen like they're crazy. I mean, you've got guys like Tesla. Tesla himself was considered a quack. People stole his ideas, made them into their own, stole his patents. Um, Another one, I'd have to give credit to Elon Musk. People think that this guy's an eccentric. People think that this guy doesn't have anything like he's supposedly like this genius eccentric that it's like, dude, why would you buy things like Twitter? Why not if you can, you know? Anyhow, so when I think about people that have dared against other people's opinions, I think about what was the outcome. And there are a lot of times where our dreams are killed, our hopes, our desires are killed based on other people's opinions. So, what Ryan goes on to explain in his page 160 in his book, The Daily Stoic, he says, we think shirts, he says, we can be immensely happy with our own lives until we find out someone we don't even like has more, or worse. More precariously, we don't feel good about our accomplishments or talents until some third party validates them. Ooh, how much of the world right now is proven by validation of the outer experience? Say, like, you want to be a podcaster, you want to be somebody on YouTube, you want to be someone who is there, right? And you have all these messages, these assumptions, these ideas that don't really work. They're in your imagination. And then someone comes in and tells you all of a sudden they work, like, well, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't doubt myself. Or vice versa. Like, what if you believe in something? Oh man, that's not going to work. That's really not going to work. And it bothers us. It truly bothers us. And then we're constantly checking, comparing, contrasting, competing. And what does it do at the end of the day? It really does nothing other than put you in paralysis. You know, that's, hold on. But anyways, getting back to it, there was a message coming in and I had to address it really quickly. But it goes beyond, you have to think beyond the validation. Your validation, what you think of, where you want to go with your opinion, with your vision, your idea. Matter of fact, um, I was listening to one of my colleagues talk about their interview with a famous personality, and they were telling me that they're a true visionary. But when people came across him when he first started out in medias, they thought this guy's like, who is he? What's he all about? And that's Gary Vaynerchuk. And matter of fact, oh, hey, just as soon as I blink, I look over in the screen and there you are. Julie, how you doing this morning? Good to see you. If you want to come up, feel free and hit that tab. Let's see. And I want to use this as an example um, real quick, because when you dare to be different, when you're a thought leader, honestly, what ends up happening is people question you based on what they don't know. So, Julie, welcome to the stage on Breakout. My question to you is: you said something to me about Gary Vaynerchuk the other day, earlier this week, and you said something that he is a true visionary, not just an entrepreneur. What did you really? What is that? What did that mean to you? Like, is he daring to be different so much to where um, he doesn't really work with the social norms? He works with, curiosity or imagination. What's your thoughts? I'm just curious, since you're on my stage.
Oh, well, thank you, 72. Excuse me. Yes, I mean, absolutely. He's a visionary, not only because he's doing things in a big, bold way. Like he is always like thinking big, but he's also doing it with compassion and like infusing his message and into on his stage, onto his teachings, onto all media. It's pretty incredible. It's a garage sale guy, can get 10,000 people from all over the world to come and listen to him. So it's pretty incredible.
And isn't it interesting about how many videos he posts? People come ask me, Gary, what do I do with my life? How do I become successful like you? And his consistent response is, be curious about your own experience, not what I think. Believe in yourself. Go out there. You're in the perfect position. You're young. He says all these things. And he says, be content with yourself about your opinion, where you're at. Be curious to grow. Don't compare whether what I think is what you think. And there's so many guys out there, but they will second guess themselves. And when you're a thought leader and you're of his caliber as an example, you people sit by and they're amazed. They're like, is he going to give us a cheat? Is he going to give us a tip? Is he going to give us a mindset? Like his whole thing about AI, augmented information, not artificial intelligence. Let's get that straight. It's not artificial, it's augmented. And because it's augmented, that means that we human beings put so much data and input into a platform, a data collector, that it was able to output and predict or give you a resource to go check out. And he's like, hey, the wave of the world is going to AI. That doesn't mean we get to forget our experience, because that thing can't grow unless we can continue to input into it and receive the output. And can it inspire us more? And I think that's where Gary's at, and a lot of others. They're like, look, I know it can be dangerous. Even the founder of ChatGPT says, hey, I know this will take a lot of people's work out, but you have to be not paralyzed by what it will do, but what it can do and it can't do for you. And so we can't alleviate our human experience. And opinions, like in social media creation, it's like you're based on likes, comments, what time you put it out. That's really a big key. And then your word descriptors, your SEOs. Matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine, Gail, and she reminded me of this book that I had used in grade school, a thesaurus. How many times do people use the thesauruses for creative words? I forgot I even had one. And so when we look at, what would make a word pop, or another word, a phrase to say something, when she mentioned a thesaurus, that was like, that's the age-old SEO right there. Your mind is searching for what may matter or hook people, a better way of saying than where you're at. So when we look at people's opinions, the point of today is, if you stop caring about what other people think, where will you go next? There is, and I will say, take opinions as considerations, you know? Like, me and Julie were talking about, rebranding my show yesterday. We talked about, you know, maybe using Street Stoic, or maybe using, something else. Maybe using the architect. Rise and grind is gonna be going away eventually for me. I'm gonna be moving on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But see, when I ask opinions for considerations and I bring it up, it's because I'm inspired for collaborations. I'm inspired by, there's other people who have a better outlook or aspect than what I do when it comes to creative words that would kind of describe what I produce and what I put out there. So, but you're asking for it, and that's a solicitation. And that's where the what is it? The rubber meets the road. You got to figure out, like, are you asking, or people just giving opinions? Are you putting in people's minds things that don't matter to them? Or people just making up opinions where they never had any expertise, never had any experience, they just had a feeling. Where do we dive into that one? So, out of today, you got to look at what you control. We don't control what other people think about us at all. And for this reason, putting ourselves at mercy to those opinions, try to gain approval of others, are dangerous endeavors. Ryan Holiday, he says in his book, don't spend so much time about what other people think. Think about what you think. Think about the results, about the impact. That's the key. Are you really focused on impacts, the results, and how you feel, whether it's the right thing to do or not first? Like, how many of us have business ideas? How would your business really impact your community? How would you make? I have friends who want to make, for example, tie-dye shirts. And they're asking me, hey, how can you help my business grow? All right, what community of people like to grow tie-dye shirts? Or what could you inspire people to grow? And they asked me, okay, well, here's my opinion. 4th of July is coming up, just as an example. And I told them, and I said, hey, why don't you make some red, white, and blue tie-dyes, start promoting them as a, hashtag 4th July wear or Memorial Weekend, put some logos on, find out where that community is. Send it out there. Send hashtags, make a video, talk about it. That's my opinion. Now, how do you feel about it? And their response was, oh, yeah, that's really, really good. Well, how do I reach those people? Well, I gave you the key to open the door. It's your job to walk through. Why did I do that? To encourage their own creativity, think about with their own opinion about what if they took that road, how it would matter. Constantly, we we there are many of us in society that we second guess ourselves because we've had to live in a world of so much a constant flood of opinions. So think about how that affects you. If you were to spend 2 days alone, completely alone, no data, no TV, no phone, no nothing, and you had to write without AI or any assistance, any computer, we're talking pen to pad, could you write an idea about anything? Here's my question. Julie, do you ever take time to turn off everything and not check with sources, digital sources, data sources, to write your idea of a product or thing or service, pen to pad, no influence from nothing, no search, just your ideas? Have you ever done that? I'm just curious. She may or may not be close to her phone, but it's a question for all of us to think. We talk about our own human experience. I talking about my human experience on here. I'm producing live on YouTube and Breakout. I made commitments to be on an app, that I wanna see it work. My belief, my commitment is I could have one person in here or 100,000 people in here. It doesn't matter. But my belief, my opinion is really aimed towards a result. And when I make that commitment to make a talk or even on YouTube, people may view this in 2 years and say, "Yo, I found this guy by accident. Where's he at?" I found books and writers that I never heard of them in the mainstream, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Wow." David D. Burke, author of Cognitive Thinking. I didn't know who this guy was. Book's not famous according to New York Times, not famous according to NBC or the Washington Post. Wasn't famous. But what I did find out in psychology, his book on cognitive therapy was the most sought after information and study out there. What does that mean? What is cognitive therapy? That means they're looking about how the mind processes, how it figures its resource, how you can be your own therapist basically without drugs, without using any pharmaceuticals. They unravel the mind. And I'm not saying that it's absolute, but he gives strong instances in his book about how to dive into your problems, how to use therapy, how to create exercises to de-stress yourself or get rid of the bad forming habits of your self descriptors that don't work, to build confidence and integrity. They're very, very important. But see, we can't forget that. And so when we spend a lot more time in that personal reflection, developing, looking at aiming, making impacts and results, not comparisons and contrasts, which are important. But if we stop worrying so much about those things, where are we going to go and go forward? So today, what I wanna encourage you over the weekend, take a little bit of you might be going camping, it might be a fun weekend, I don't know, whatever it is. You might be going and just having a day at the house or a weekend, catching up, working in the backyard, whatever. But take some personal reflection and write out your ideas for a week for impact. I don't care what it is. If it's to go build a new fence, if it's to write a blog about, you know, Alzheimer's, or to write an article about podcasting, impacts of speakers in my lives, writing your opinions. How have certain speakers made an impact on you? Take that reflection, think about it, write it clearly. Because when you write something down on paper, not typing it out, when you write it down on paper, your mind has to slow down enough to process, because your mind and the movement of your pen or your pencil don't work at the same speed. So when you do this, now you're breathing. Now you're taking patience. So then that means your thought is processing and your opinion on paper is the result. Think about what that means to yourself. Take in consideration, look at, and might just improve some things. Maybe unplugging for a while is a good thing. So that's pretty much it. So, and any comments before I close the show out for today. So if you want to check this out and you are watching it live or recorded on YouTube, feel free to give a comment. I would love to hear from you. For those out on Breakout, this is recorded for those also. So leave a comment. Tell me what you think. How does an opinion matter to you more than others? Any closing statements from you, Julie, out of curiosity? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all we're going to do for Rise and Grind. May you have a beautiful Friday. Stay safe out there this Memorial weekend. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Y'all take care.